Hey guys, it's Crystal with ArmyWife101.com coming to you today talking about Married to the Army Alaska. And I know some of you like, Crystal, really? We talked about this all last week. But trust me, I'm not talking about the episodes per se. I am talking about all the negative connotations and the misconceptions surrounding the show. For those of you who aren't familiar with the show, it premieres Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Oprah Winfrey's own network. It talks about, or it follows the life of 4 enlisted, for those of you who said there were no enlisted, and 3 officers' wives while they're going through deployments. And it's based at Fort Richardson, Alaska. You can read the bios of the woman on the own website. Now, I know the show started out with just a little piece of drama. Basically, to a degree, I guess you could say it fed into or discussed the taboo subject of officer versus enlisted. There was an incident where I guess the brigade commander, I want to say that's her husband's title, she had a gathering. She invited all the women who were on the show over to her home. One of the women whose husband is a specialist, Tracy, was asked where did she meet her husband. She said Hooters. Okay, big deal. Big deal. My kids eat at Hooters. Big deal. So the following day, one of the other wives, who's an officer's wife, Lindsay, took it as her place to call Tracy and give her a little bit of schooling on etiquette, and, you know, told her that what she said was inappropriate. Tracy went off on her, as probably I would have, like, don't call me. And, you know, that just drew backlash, you know, like, oh my God, they're feeding into the stereotypes. Okay. Out of 2 episodes, that was one little part. 2. Keep in mind, it's only 2 episodes, okay? So, I'm sitting here yesterday, and someone shared this article with me on SpouseBuzz.com. And the article basically went on to say, after watching the show, the premiere episode and the second half of the following episode, so not the whole episode, the second half, they were highly disappointed. And it's not because the show isn't showcasing spouses supportive of each other and dealing with life circumstances 99% of America doesn't experience. It's because the program caters to the negative stereotypes associated with military wives instead of taking into account the diverse and independent nature of our families. On the show, you'll find no dual military families, no gay couples, no couples with pets, and a civilian male spouse, and you won't see, at least so far, these women's unique skills. Well, you said 2 important things so far, and the diverse and independent nature of our families. That's like me saying, well, the show doesn't appeal to me because they have a parent on there who has a child with a disability. No, I don't have a child with a disability. But I had a lot of friends at Schofield Barracks who did. That was their truth. That was their life. They were military spouses, you know. So, but am I going to say, well, if they were on the show that it wouldn't apply to me? No, it did apply to me. I was friends with these people. I watched them go through various struggles when their spouses were deployed, dealing, you know, with all that encompasses having a child with a disability. And that's just one example. In addition, let me just go back to something. When I wrote about this show a few weeks ago, I used the phrase military spouse history. The reason I said that was because if this show was so easy to get on a base and film, it would have been done eons ago. The problem was production companies were having trouble getting on base to do a show of this nature. This is the first time that a production company is the backing of the Army, the actual Army, and the DOD, or Pentagon I think it is, to do a show like this to allow them access behind the gates and to film the stories of these women. Okay? The show has only been on twice. I would think anybody with a little bit of sense would give the show at least 4 episodes, 5, to form an opinion. But to sit here and say that it deals with these stereotypes, what stereotypes were they showing other than things that we actually go through? I mean, last week's episode dealt with a soldier that was killed in action, and the ladies actually attended a memorial ceremony. Yet, now we say we want positive things. They were supportive of each other. They went to this memorial ceremony. You know what I heard? Oh, Army wives don't do that. We don't go to stuff like that. That may be true. I mean, when I was at Schofield Barracks, the base was big. You know, a lot of times, if it wasn't in our unit, I had, you know, I would hear of things, but I didn't go to memorial ceremonies. But somebody actually does. And I don't see what's wrong with them showing that we support our own. You know, when a soldier was KIA, we supported, and these women went to the ceremony. Last week's episode also showed the brigade commander taking some of the spouses they went skiing in Alaska. Please tell me what's negative about that. Then one of the scenes showed Blair, who I actually had a chance to interview. I really like her. Blair was actually stationed here at Fort Bragg before she went to Fort Richardson. For those who said, oh, those aren't real Army wives. Okay. And Blair, there was a scene where she was upset because she got a call. She was prepping for her husband's R&R, only to receive a call that he hadn't even left and got to Kuwait yet because the president was in town and nobody was allowed to leave, whatever. She was crying. Oh, I can't believe they showed that. That just shows, that we're so weak. And who comes up with this? Lately, one thing I've noticed about the military spouse world is we have this thing of, oh, we don't want to be stereotyped. Granted, there's some stereotypes that are out there, but let's just cut the dramaticness. Oh, I don't want it to be shown that military spouses cheat. And I don't want it to be shown that, some of us drink. And there was an incident where there was a party on the show, like a gathering, and one of the spouses of an enlisted soldier made a comment, something like, oh, that's my baby, she came out of my vagina. Something to that degree. Oh my God, why did she say that? Why did she say that? You would have thought this woman went and bombed something because she said that, where, oh, well, she shouldn't have said that. That represents us in a bad light. No, it doesn't, because I didn't say it. How does it represent me? What, because she said vagina? You think that there aren't a whole bunch of spouses that go around saying that kind of crap? Never mind their age, race, or where they come from. There's a lot of people who do that. That drink, that get silly acting, that say foot and mouth or have foot and mouth moments. What makes people think that this stuff doesn't happen? And it's not really a reality show because for those who've actually watched it, and that brings me to my next point. I'm doing this video because I'm not talking about the people who said that they don't want to watch it. You have every right not to want to watch it. That's fine. I'm talking about the people who said they're not going to watch it, yet they still managed to come on the fan page. They still managed to go to the Married to the Army page and put what they assume, because they went on Facebook and listened to somebody else who didn't watch the show, they think the show is. Just like the person who said, oh, it's all officers' wives. Oh, they don't work. You apparently didn't read their bios. You apparently didn't watch the show. Because the first show told you that Lindsay worked, and I believe Yolanda Goins is like a professor or teaches classes online. And then when I made that point to one girl, she goes, oh yeah, but they were only part-time workers. Well, I mean, I don't know what base you're at, but when I was, living at Schofield, for instance, or any base for that matter, most of the women I met, some of them had degrees, some of them had some kind of certifications. A lot of them either worked part-time or didn't work at all, just because our husbands were always gone and it was just easier for one parent to be home at all times living in a different state. That's just the way it was. I'm not understanding why, because your truth is not my truth, that makes it not the right thing. And like I think I was going to say, was that the show is called Married to the Army, Alaska. That leads me to believe that if this show goes good and it gets the kind of attention and viewership that they're looking for, then the Army might say, you know what, let's bring this to Fort Bragg or, Fort Stewart or wherever. It's room for possibility, but we have to give the show a chance. We can't judge on 2 episodes. And what really bothered me about this article is that this person said they watched the premiere episode and the second half of the following episode, meaning that the episodes are an hour long. So you watched an hour and 30 minutes and you formed all of this out of that? Makes no sense to me. Leave your opinions on the bottom. I just wanted to give my little opinion. I know it probably means absolutely nothing. Don't forget to visit me at armywife101.com. And if you want to tweet with me, I'm on every day on Twitter, but you can tweet with me on Sundays like tonight at ArmyWives101. Hashtag is Married to the Army. Me and tons of other military spouses and viewers will be on there talking. See you then.